Good afternoon, everybody. It's John for Father's Rights, my anti-human trafficking and child neglect, anti-child neglect YouTube channel. Today, we're going to go over child molester enablers again and why my wife and her family all colluded together to basically try to get me imprisoned. And now I know why. I know exactly why. And they know why too. My wife is clueless and witless to understand why they were telling her to turn against me in order to protect the family. That's not a family. Those are child molester enablers. You see? But some people, their mind is not up to par with the rest of us. Enabling child molestation. The term enablers in the context of child molestation refers to individuals who, through their actions or inaction, facilitate or allow child abuse to occur, even if they aren't a direct perpetrator. That's exactly what happened in my wife's family. Also, the people that you try to report the crime to and they don't do anything about it, they're also child molester enablers. Even if you're a police officer who refuses to take the report, you are a child molester enabler. You're the DA's office and you're not doing anything about this, you're a child molester enabler. And the facts are, in my case, he got a hold of a 12-year-old, and if nobody does anything about him, the sky's the limit for his evil deeds. And I keep telling you, there are young children in the family, 2 of his own, and others circling around them, young girls he seems to like, but who knows. He's just going to do it again. And I'm holding all of you responsible. So far we know of 2 victims, a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. This can take various forms, including failed to report suspected abuse. This is particularly problematic for individuals legally obligated to report child abuse, teachers and doctors, also foster care parents, which the girl was living under. It was her aunt who had her in foster care custody. And she knew this was happening, and she allowed it to happen. And my wife knew it was happening and didn't bother to divulge to anybody it was happening and didn't do her duty as an adult to report this. And then you wonder why I don't feel well about my wife having custody of my daughter. Unfortunately, my wife's family, they got bad habits of not sending the kid to school, and my wife has emulated that so far. When the girl should be in school, she shouldn't be 14 years old running around with a 30-year-old boyfriend instead of going to school. That's how she ended up getting pregnant at 14 years old. My wife's family, they're a bunch of idiots. Creating environments where abuse can thrive. This might involve fostering informal cultures where boundaries are blurred or failing to implement proper safeguard policies. Well, they come from a different country, so they're going to bring their crap and violate our laws and abuse our children here. Prioritizing the reputation of an organization over the safety of children. This can lead to covering up abuse to protect an institution's image. CPS, the foster care system, NYPD, the Special Victims Unit, Impact of enablement. Let me say this again. Prioritizing the reputation of an organization over the safety of children. This can lead to covering up abuse to protect an institution's image. God forbid if we go over the house and find a 14-year-old girl's missing, and the reason why she's missing is because they gave the child away to the guy that victimized her. And she's 15 and 8 months pregnant in February, and she's married to the guy, and they just let her take her out of the house. Bye, girl. Bye. Let's go into impact of enablement. The actions of enablers can have devastating impact on child victims, including prolonged abuse. Enabling behaviors can allow the abuse to continue for an extended period, causing further trauma. They're trying to tell you a girl who's underage that's victimized at such a young age, she suffers trauma. And actually to force this girl to marry the person that gave the trauma in the first place is inducing more trauma. Feelings of betrayal and abandonment. Children may feel betrayed by adults they trusted and abandoned by the institutions meant to protect them. There you go. Foster care system, NYPD. This girl now thinks that children being raped by an older man is probably good because you just let it happen. She thinks it's normal. So what do you think is going to happen to her daughter? Or my child in the hands of somebody who's a child molester enabler. Also following the same path, not sending the daughter to school. That's what happened with the other girl. My wife is following step by step the same way that this other girl ended up in the hands of a 31-year-old when she was 15 years old and 8 months pregnant. If you count back, her birthday was in December, she was married by February. She was 8 months pregnant, which means she was impregnated at 14 years old. Difficulty seeking help. Enabling environments can make it harder for children to disclose abuse due to fear of not being believed or further harm. Legal and social responses. There's a growing recognition of the need to hold enablers accountable for their actions and inactions. Okay? Now this is why they tried to get me locked up, because they knew that if this got out, that if somebody actively turned and got off their ass and pulled the friggin' woke earplugs out of their head, this is what would have happened to them. Legislation. Efforts are being made to criminalize enabling behavior. According to Utah law, Digital Commons, for example, Oklahoma law punishes enabling child sexual abuse with severe penalties, including potential life imprisonment. Gee, why would they make stories up about me and try to get me put in jail for something I actually never did? And then when I react after I find this out, hunting for my daughter, I'm violating an order of protection that was gotten through subterfuge. Because the first one was dismissed with prejudice, and she didn't bother to follow the judge's orders. Yeah. And I was worried about my daughter being safe. So to me, doing a couple of days in jail and making sure my daughter was safe was exactly what a father's supposed to do. Mandatory reporting laws. These laws require certain professionals to report suspected child abuse to the authorities, holding them accountable if they fail to do so. Teachers, foster care agents, social workers, CPS. Increased public awareness. Shining a light on the role of enablers can help shift the focus beyond the direct perpetrator and encourage greater accountability for all involved. So no wonder why they were trying to put me in jail, because God forbid, if somebody would actually sit down, like CPS, they would have found out the whole story and been able to stop this person. Instead, they're potentially setting up my daughter to be the next victim, be it the one they protect now or somebody else in their culture. And that's all I got to say on the subject. You can ask the AI. These people are disgusting. I don't care if they're females and their feelings get hurt. I'm concerned about the children, not the adults that had a responsibility to report this. but their fifis are hurt, so we don't want to hurt their feelings any further by holding them accountable. And on that, I'm out of here.